the less you there is in your body, the more space there is for other people's energy. Hey, I'm VictorE. I help provide insight to empower. And today I wanted to talk about boundaries, especially boundaries for empaths. Now, it may be tempting, tantalizing to stick to that identity, to that security, to that even maybe kind of a shield in itself to gain sympathy or empathy from others, to label ourselves as empaths, and therefore try to use that as a kind of means to manipulate others into being softer or gentler on us. Now, it is true that we do feel things to a greater degree, and it may be due to people or us not feeling like we could have boundaries in our upbringing, and feeling like we can't take up space, or feeling safer in taking up as little space as possible. So the idea here is that the more present you are in your body, the less space there is for other people's energy. Now, there's a grounding meditation at the end of this video. So if you want to become more embodied in yourself, push out those excess energies that aren't your own, stick around to the end of the video and I'll walk you through that. So the more energy there is in other times and places, the more space you have for other people's energy. And by this I mean, especially for empaths, we may want to understand other people. Other people may be, we can pick up on their wounds and their need for healing. And in the broad scheme of things, this is kind of why we're here as empaths, is to help facilitate healing, helping people feel seen and heard for who they truly are, especially emotionally. And this usually is incepted into us in early development, when we're having to be there for others, even overextending ourselves and not filling up our own cup, so to speak, right? Trying to give from an empty cup, which fosters a problematic relationship with ourselves. So when we have these experiences, let's say that are less than desirable, traumas, wounds, part of our energy gets stuck in that time and in that place. If you go into a house and it feels like there's a bad vibe, there's probably a lot of, trauma energy, wounding energy in that place, and you may be picking up on that. And so we leave, they leave vibrational imprints going through those events. So part of it may be having to call back or having to go back and retrieve your energy from those places. And this is in part what is called a regression healing, or a regression meditation, regression healing, an event in which you in your mind go back as you are now to a place and time when you were younger, maybe even a past life. And you, in order to retrieve this energy that is yours, this part of yourself, you're going to forgive those involved, and especially yourself, in order to neutralize the energetic charge in that time and place. And then that gets reintegrated into you. And so when it gets reintegrated into you, your whole yourself, your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual self and bodies become more whole. And the holes that you have in your electromagnetic field, your aura, start to get filled, and you start to get and feel a little more complete, a little more whole. And I'll touch on this a little later, but it helps seal any leaks in your bubble, let's say. So to create boundaries, I have a few steps here, a few things you want to keep in mind. that have really helped me. And in the comments, feel free to leave anything that's helped you that I don't touch on or that you would like to see me elaborate on. So one is radiating love. And the way I picture this is being a mini sun right here, right now, which is, I'm being very careful with my words right there. So how it should feel is that there is a natural flow. It shouldn't be like, blah, 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 right? It's like a natural flow, a natural radiance coming from within you. How it shouldn't feel is that, one, that you're just like shooting out this energy, and two, like you're depleting yourself. It should feel like energy is coming in and flowing out. Ideally, it would come in through the seventh, go out through the soles of your feet and back into the earth. If there are people who you feel like could use a healing, it's something that we offer, right? It's not something that we force. Mentally, emotionally, you kind of check in with that person, connect to them, and offer some of this overflow of your love, right? You're not forcing. Imagine a dog, like my dog just is a reflecting something back to me. My dog is like all over everybody all the time. Any visitors, she's jumping, and she's very strong and doesn't know just how strong she is. She steps on you, it hurts. And it's hard not to take it personal. So yeah, radiate love, and should feel like soft lighting. Yeah. The second thing is to stand your ground. And so when we stand our ground, it's similar in feel to that radiation. It's like radiating grounded presence. So how it should feel is that you're being firm in yourself, in your body, being very embodied. And that's something that ripples across many, many, many topics and subjects. Presence is our greatest tool, especially in empathy and in healing and in self-healing. So stand your ground, and may take practice. All of these are going to take a lot of practice, day-to-day practice. Hopefully multiple times throughout the day. Quick check-in, very gentle with yourself. So how it should feel, radiating presence. How it shouldn't feel is being confrontational, right? We want to have a lot of steps in the way from receiving the energy, right? Observing how it feels, how it's impacting us, and like the polar opposite being reacting and engaging in conflict. So we want to have a lot of steps in between there. We don't want to just like, okay, I'm practicing standing my ground there, and somebody's coming at me, therefore I'm standing my ground, right? It's a lot more subtle than that, right? We're talking about subtle energies, so we want to see how it feels and experiment. The more pressure you feel outward, externally, the more you want to gently apply pressure and stand firm where you feel it. And if you need to, feel that extend outward gently, right? Not shoving people away. That's something that I struggled with, of like not knowing how to set boundaries, and therefore like having people take and take and take because I was allowing it, because I didn't know better. And then getting to a place where it's like, okay, I need to establish boundary and I don't know how else, therefore anger. It's not the case anymore, but it was for a long time, and it's something that I had to train myself out of. Speaking to that point, the next point is saying no to yourself too. Saying no. Say no to things. Be kind. This is a way of expressing love to yourself. Really, it is. Saying no. Say no to things more often. When we say no to things, this is something that I use and I teach and I impart in my sessions with clients, is invoking the sacred no. Because, again, how it should feel is that you're doing something kind for yourself. how it shouldn't feel, is that it shouldn't feel angry. It shouldn't feel like forced, right? We're talking about gentle, subtle energies here. Keep in mind, it takes practice. It's like brushing your teeth, right? Or cleaning your room. You did it once, and that's good. That's worthy of a little, yeah, I did it. But keep in mind, it's like it's part of the routine now. It's part of what we do. Saying no, and to yourself too, right? If I know, like for me, one of my biggest things is going to my friend's like brunch place. I really want to like show love and support. And in another way, in a more unhealthy way, I want comfort food. I want to be in the general ambiance and environment and vibe of my friends. Maybe a part of me wants to be seen, supporting, maybe wants a little recognition, and I'm not giving that to myself. I'm not getting that from myself. So I'm looking for it externally, unconsciously. So in saying no to myself, I'm helping create a boundary between, I'm kind of like training my inner child. It's kind of what I'm getting at, is like my inner child wants attention, affection, love. It's like, okay, let's find that in a healthy way. Let's, let me spend time with you, embrace you, things like that. Now, something I missed in the saying no to others and invoking the sacred no is that what makes it sacred is, in part, it implies faith, and in part, it implies saying yes to something else, right? When we say no to something that we just don't feel vibrationally matched with, on the one hand, it's like life saying, are you going to go for this? Are you going to go for like this old you energy? Or are you going to embed in your body, in your cells, to the cellular level, that you're ready for something new? So when we invoke that sacred no to something that is no longer a vibrational match to who we are or who we want to be, we are saying yes to who we are and who we want to be. And again, that does apply to yourself as well. The next point is rejection. It's okay and worthy of love. When someone else sets a boundary with us, keep in mind that on higher levels, we're kind of asking, not kind of asking, but like on a spiritual level, we're saying, hey, my avatar, myself in this point in time needs to see what a boundary looks like. It needs to, like, we need to have that example set for us. So, and this applies to us with others as well. So we want to really respect other people's boundaries and see how rejection is affecting us. Because again, when somebody says no to us, they're helping us say yes to something else. They're saying yes to something else, and they're also like, it's kind of like on the spiritual level, I've always seen it as like, you want to hang out with a friend because that's familiar. It's kind of like an old, nourishing vibe. But like on the spiritual level, where we can like see the grand scheme of things, that, other person, that other spirit is like saying to ours, no, where you want to go is actually over there, right? You don't want to like hang around with me right now. Maybe I'm going through some things. Maybe it would be like trying to go backwards rather than forwards. So in me saying no to you, it's like a spiritual redirection. Rejection is a spiritual redirection, and it's good. So we want to like acknowledge how it does feel, right? That's an area in which I'm still working on and very sensitive to. So I know more is coming. So I want to be proactive about it, ideally. And so it's worthy of love, right? I am the unconditional love the moment needs, especially in those moments where I feel hurt and feel like taking things personally. keep that in mind. So the next point is ask. A big one. Ask for space and time to yourself. Ask for space and time to yourself. I had a client who I worked with recently, and it's kind of like a prevailing theme among, let me get this out of the way, among very giving, very loving people. Notifications. And so, on the one hand, I congratulated her and saw her and heard her in how she was already, doing like a morning meditation, which is taking time and space for yourself to fill your cup. And maybe later on in the day, her cup was running on empty, and she felt like she couldn't take time for herself. So she kept on giving, and that's when we give from an empty cup, that's when resentment starts to build. And it's one thing it's very easy for us to say, or to recognize, even if we don't, egoically, we don't want to, our ego doesn't want to. On a deeper level, we can understand, I can't do this right now. And so we start to overextend and, again, give from an empty cup. So what I invited her to maybe practice and try for herself is it's okay to again, ask for time and space to refill your cup. If you need to refill your cup 2 or 3 times during the day, 4 or 5, as many as you need to. If you need to take a nap during the day, I invite you to experiment with that. Fuck around and find out. Have an open and curious mind about the contents of your cup, the fuel gauge. Because when we're full, or I don't know how you're seeing this, but when we're full, it's easy to give love. It's easy to show up and be present. But when we start to run on empty is when we're starting to slip into survival mode. And again, the resentment builds up as a means, as an ineffective and unhealthy means of setting a boundary, right? When I'm resentful or getting angry or agitated or frustrated or sad or depressed, I'm putting on that face, right? Micro expressions, body language. And I'm giving off that vibe. And the reason we give off that vibe is so hopefully other people with awareness can see us and be like, hey, it looks like you're going through some things. What's going on? Do you need to take some time? Later on down the road, when humanity is in a more awakened and aware state, we're going to be able to be there for each other in this way more frequently. For now, we need to self-source that energy. Yeah, we need to be radiating that, communicating that, and have that within the collective here on Earth. So this is again an invitation to practice being firm and standing your ground. And when people aren't respectful of your request, again, from a spiritual level, this is them communicating to you. This is how we look at it, reframe it, so that we're coming to the situation, the experience, and this other person with compassion. When they come to us and they're not respecting our boundaries, spiritually, we can say, okay, spiritually, this person is asking me to show them a loving way, as loving as possible, within where you are right now. It's like their spirit asking mine, hey, in this life, at this point in time, in this part of my story, I need for someone to push me away because I haven't yet learned this lesson. Yeah. So when people aren't respectful of your request, and they're still trying to take and take and take, again, we want a lot of steps. Picture a ladder, right? If there's a ladder and a lot of space between the rungs, it's going to be really hard to get to the next one, right? If like the first one is like ground level, you can step on that. But if the next one is 10 feet high, it's going to be a really big jump to get to the next one. So we want a lot of steps between each rung, meaning that we don't, when people are like trying to take and take and take, we don't want to like lash out and like push them away or just run away, because that communicates to them and probably recreates an old wound of when I ask for help, people leave. That's kind of like a big message and a big lesson in that behavior, in taking and taking and taking and not respecting other people's boundaries. They may have learned or embodied, they have just learned that like when they ask for wants and needs, when they ask to have their wants and needs met, they feel, or they've come to the belief, that people leave or people hurt them. They feel abandoned, or they feel like their needs are neglected. And so in that space and time, we want to create little stepping stools like, hey, I'm going through some things. It's not about you. I love you. I care about you. And right now I need to love and care about myself. So I'm going to go into the other room and close the door, maybe put some soothing music on, just lay down and just take a breath. And if they're saying, no, I need this from you. You need to go over here, like this, and this. And it's like, okay, I've told you what I needed, and you're not respecting that. I feel like you're not respecting that. Is it possible for me to do these things later in the day? Or is it possible that you can, maybe do some of these things yourself? Maybe throughout the day, not all at once, right here and now. I really want to help you. I want to be there for you. But right now, if I were to do this for you, if I were to give into this request, it would be a violation of my own boundaries. It would be really unkind for myself, and you would be attached to that. So I would be resentful and angry towards you, and it would come out in some kind of way later on, and I don't want that. I would like to just take this time for myself, recoup, recharge, reassemble, and then, I'm going to come out like so much better for me and for you. This is one example. Do with that with what you will. And the next point, I think this is the final point, is just be present. Practice being present, right? When we are not our bodies, yeah? We are the consciousness, the energy that fills and encompasses our bodies. And so when we're trying to escape, when we're on our phones, when we're just turned off, watching whatever's on Disney Plus or Netflix or whatever, it's a way of not being with ourselves. It's a way of not being in our body. And I understand, as someone who grew up with my share of conflict and hardships and traumas, the more these hardships and traumas take up space within my body, right? Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, The Body Keeps the Score. If you're looking for a book to read, The Body Keeps the Score. The more these events in our past live through physical tension in our current body, the less space there is for our full consciousness and awareness and experience, right? In our truest core self, we are love and we are joy, and we want to, in order to have a really rich, fulfilling experience, that energy needs to come in and kind of flush out the old stuff. So it may be painful, it may be right now what I'm seeing is going through a tunnel, but there is that light at the end of the tunnel, which is to say that when you kind of washed and soaked the cells in your body down to the atomic level, down to the cellular level, not only are you washing away the old, but you're now embodying the good. And this is kind of what I mean with that first point of radiating love, being a mini sun. Maybe you picture earth like dirt, like ground, and you want to like fill that earth with water, with nourishing oxygen and water, so that things, beautiful things, can grow. A garden needs arable soil. So being present, practicing presence, practicing being behind our eyes. Like I'm being right, like there's a subtle yet very noticeable difference in being behind my eyes versus like kind of, being elsewhere, and really feeling the contact between our feet and the floor. Maybe you're sitting down, maybe you have clothes on, and you can feel the way all of that feels. You can give time and attention to your thoughts and therefore not be here, and therefore not be creating the life you want. Or you can be here and you can maybe sit through some discomfort. Maybe hit me up for a session, and we can like talk about some stuff that you're going through that you need to get out, right? I've done the work. I've done, the traumatic healing work on my own, and it felt very good mentally. It planted the seeds emotionally so that I could get to the next point, the biggest point. The reason why there are so many people here, because if you do the work on your own, it doesn't really go anywhere. And yet, like the next point, the big point, is that if you bring what you find in the work that you do on your own to a community, to people who are willing to see you and hear you, that's when the major shifts in your life start to happen, right? One of the biggest parts of traumatic healing, energy healing, is having an empathetic witness, someone to mirror back to you like, wow, that's what you went through? Holy shit, that's hard. That sounds really hard. That sounds really painful. That sounds fucked up. Like, having someone to like mirror that back to you is like, maybe you're kind of going in circles within like, yeah, like that sounds messed up, but like, I don't know. Having that empathetic witness is like, it just opens a person up and like, there's validation in that. And we don't want to like, there's a balance here. It's not just that we don't want to rely or have a crutch that is external validation, but it is part of the human experience to feel validated or validation from others. And especially when that's built on a good foundation of self-validation, that's when it's so much easier to magnetize that into your experience. So just some things to keep in mind is that it does take practice. We've practiced being who we are up until this point, and it's gotten us these results. So practicing who we want to be, going towards who we want to be, is a matter of practicing who we want to be. It's not so much fake it till you make it, right? We're not putting on a mask. We're taking off the mask so that we can practice being ourselves. Not who we should be, but who we need to be for ourselves. And maybe for others, but first for ourselves for sure. And again, this is like brushing your teeth or cleaning your room. It's just, I kind of just like laid out my, you can see that. No, it's not like fully made, but I did something. Instead of just leaving like the covers, however. And I did brush my teeth this morning. So 5. But yeah, it's just something that we're doing now, right? So yes. It's going to take a lot of work, and where I personally experienced a lot of resistance or a lot of that vibe of like, I've already done this, I've already been here. Taking a breath and remembering, okay, I've been here, and this time I handled it way better than ever before. And whenever it comes back around, I'm going to do even better that time. How do I know? Because I have proof this time, this last time, that I can do it better, that I can improve. If you want a feeling of finality, of perfection, of like, I did it and it's done, you're going to be 6 feet under. That's when you know you're done in this life, let's say. Until then, we keep climbing the ladder, keep taking another step up the infinite pathway. So another thing to keep in mind, boundaries aren't just to keep people's energy out. We want to be mindful of that. And this is a major point that I wanted to bring through. That we wanted to bring through. Be mindful of controlling and manipulation. This is a big one, and it's touching on a lot of people's shadows. Excuse me. Y'all shadows are getting angry at me. So is mine. So be mindful of controlling other people. It's not just a matter of like, I'm up here in my ivory tower and boundary. Right? It's not a matter of like controlling where people are relative to you, because then that puts out the energy of being a controller or being a manipulator. And that's not a vibe your soul family is going to meet you at. You know? When we create a boundary, it's out of love. It's out of love for ourselves. It's out of love for other people. When they see us setting a boundary in a very healthy way, sure, it may cause conflict. It may bring up some of the wounding, some of the shadow, some of the villain, some of the inner child. One and the same. And it may be difficult mentally and emotionally, that you may feel some sensations somatically in your body. But when we can sit with discomfort, short-term discomfort is when we get the long-term gratification. So just be mindful of yourself and where others may be like trying to set a boundary, right? Like friendship over kind of thing, or I'm better than you or whatever, so I'm retreating. Just be mindful of where it's coming from, a place of love, and where it's coming from a place of love. Get away from me. Like, I don't know. There's a self-righteousness is what I'm getting at. And remember, it's also to keep your energy flowing through you, so that if you picture the energy coming in, washing over you, if there are leaks or holes in your aura, in your magnetic field, in your awareness, your whole self, right? The love comes in and you're like, oh, that person needs help. Oh, that person needs me. I'm needed over here. Then that energy is like not going fully through you. And so you're not filling your cup. It's kind of like if you have a cup and it has a bunch of holes in it, right? The higher up the hole is, or even, I guess, if it's a cup that fills from the top, bear with me, then like the holes are just going to like pop. So it's going to be leaking. I'm not going to have a good time. So maybe like a mantra, or the mantra that came in while I was receiving this was, I'm being here for myself right now. I'm being here for myself right now. I am being here for myself right now. That doesn't mean I can't get to you later. And that's where the mantra ended. And this is just further communication. That doesn't mean that I can't be there for the other person later on. But right now, based on where my cup is feeling, based on how I'm feeling, the bearings of my inner compass, I'm being here for myself right now. I'm recharging, I'm recalibrating, right? I'm refueling, whatever. I'm being here for myself right now. And the biggest part about mantras and affirmations right? We've been who we've been up until now. What an affirmation does is get into the here and now and reorient us for the future. So this isn't like, I don't know if you kind of like I pictured like a stone falling into a lake, or like a coin into a wishing well. You drop it in right now and it has a ripple effect. It has a ripple effect out into the future. Maybe even out into the past in the way that you see it. Yeah? There's a bunch of clogged stuff and you want to like you're just reliving your past and don't want to like look at your past. Dropping in the affirmation, the mantra right now creates a ripple effect so that we can reframe the past, have a little more compassion for others and especially for ourselves, and it helps us orient forward. What kind of future we want to create, what kind of present we want to create for ourselves. Yeah? Okay. Pretty long video. So yeah, I said it. So meditation to ground. And we'll do this we'll keep it quick so that we can practice it with higher frequency. Yeah. So the first thing, get all this stuff out. It's like breath is coming in to extract the old. Be aware of your body, of the contact between your feet and the floor. Place some awareness into your pelvis, your shoulders, up into your head, especially out into the hands and arms. It can help to gently tap wherever you need to. If you want a different meditation, a fuller meditation, check into my playlist for meditations for somatic awareness. For right now, we're going to picture the Earth's core being fully behind the eyes right here. We're fully behind the eyes, picturing the Earth's core. And it's like our energy, our awareness of the soles of our feet starts to extend into the ground. So it's extending into the ground. It may help to picture branches, or what helps me is picture a waterfall. So the energy is like a waterfall and it's flowing freely into the center of the earth and connecting to that energy. What we're going for here is feeling fully present, and especially fully present in our body, feeling our body to a depth we have not yet felt before. Looking, maybe pick a point out in front of you, maybe like look me here, whatever you need to, and just be fully engaged behind the eyes while feeling, stick with me, you got this, while feeling our body. So I'm fully present behind the eyes. I'm looking at myself in this recording, and at the same time, I'm feeling my body, I'm wiggling my toes. It's almost like my breath goes all the way down to my feet, maybe even deeper than that. Fully present. That good, loving energy is filling all the cells in our body. Dancing really gets you into your body. Doing physical activity like exercise gets you really into your body. Breathing gets you really into your body. Thinking gets you out of your body. Visualizing gets you kind of out of your body. So we want to be here, be now. Knowing that any problem that we have can't be solved by our mind. The solutions come to us when we create the space for them. So let's remove some of that clutter, some of that mental clutter, by taking the energy from up here and allowing it to clear out, to flow through us and be on its way. new information, new energy comes in, new solutions come in. And that's how we move forward. All right? Yeah, I think that's it. How you feel? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, share if you feel so inclined. Be in your body. I love you. Peace.